on these three things lah. Macro, micro, and teamwork. Yeah. So of course, for your case, mainly your games were like not 5-man. So this doesn't really apply, but actually not really. Like teamwork kind of applies with or without a team. Like you can have teamwork even in rank. That's why I asked you at the start. What's the goal? Because like if you ask me, the technique of ranking up and the technique of becoming a better player is not necessarily the same. Okay. Yeah, so this is like a common struggle. Like people who play 5-man when they like shift to duo, trio, or solo queue, then they will struggle, and vice versa also. People who play from duo, trio, then into 5-man, they will basically be doing different things. Because to me, it's actually two different games. But okay, uh, every single role, right? So there's roam, exp, jungler, gold, and mage or mid, I would say, because sometimes they don't use mage heroes. So all of this like have different perspective of these three things. So let's say for Roam and EXP on the current meta, they would prioritize micro more, and not micro, sorry, macro. So most of these players actually like have very good macro. Like you can see nowadays, like most of the EXP or roamers rarely have these flashy plays which requires high micro. Sometimes they do. On for example, like heroes like Cho, they require high micro, of course. But macro is one thing that most of these roamers and EXP players focus on right now. For jungler right now, it's mainly on micro, but jungler still needs to have a high macro too. And for gold lane, now this depends, but for solo queue, of course, you need all. You don't really need teamwork for gold, but you, to a certain degree, you need to have this too. But mainly, it'll be micro is number one, number two is your macro, then number three is your teamwork. So these are the three things. While for Roam or EXP, your previous role, I would say the general consensus right now is 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of the other way around. Oh, okay, understand. So yeah, it's actually somewhat of a good strategy because when you play 5-man, they will compensate for your mistakes. But when you play solo, you have to, like, every decision or everything you do is based on you. So one thing I want you to understand, right? Like no matter how good you are or how many times you've played this game, like playing solo queue, you have to understand that it's never 100. It's you can never be good enough such that your win rate is 100%. So you have to understand, like, sometimes even if you do everything correctly, solo queue is solo queue. You can only maximize your win rate. Yeah. Basically you, no matter how good you play, sometimes you just really get unlucky teammates, or they play poorly, or the enemy is just way better than your teammates. So sometimes there's nothing you can do that much. Like you need to have that attitude understanding. So coming into a game when you lose, like sometimes just accept it because it's solo queue. But of course in 5-man, no matter what the scenario, you should always be able to win. So when you don't, it's always good to review if you'd like to like play professionally. So okay, as a gold lane, there is three things that matters. Number one, this is the most important part of gold lane right now, laning. So what defines a laning? So trading, yeah, trading, lane management, and map awareness. So okay, okay. So for example here, laning wise, I saw you send me 3 clips. So all three games, I noticed you bought leather jerkins as your first item, which is okay, but in this scenario, like you have a Nathan and a Mia, right? Technically, they're both gold laners, so you have no idea who is going where. So I would advise you to like wait until you see the enemy gold laner, then decide on the item. Then, because now you bought the leather jerkins, but you're actually fighting Nathan, which is a magic hero. So this leather jerkins ended up not helping you for laning phase. But okay, laning phase wise, the itemization is correct. The first item you should always buy the defense accordingly to the enemy gold lane. Then next is laning. So laning here, okay, it's just a small thing, but these things honestly, like you should know yourself, but you need to know the power spec. Okay, to begin with, your Tigreal is not doing the right thing here. He should have came from behind because the Nathan brought Inspire. So there's no reason for him to walk up straight like this. But okay, we ignore your Nathan. But okay, this small pathing by you. Okay, notice as you cast your S1 here, you cast your S1, but your hero is moving backwards. So it doesn't really make sense to me because you have a Tigreal here and you're gonna cast your S1. So in case you didn't know, if you know it's good, but your S1 reduces the enemy's armor. So you wanna make use of this time and start hitting the opponent because of this pathing downwards, right? Running away from the Nathan made you auto attack the minion once. Okay, in this scenario, I watched it already. It did not matter, but it's just good habit to have. Like you need to understand your hero's power spec. So okay, what makes an Irritel painful? So what makes an Irritel painful, for example, is his first skill because it reduces the enemy's armor. So you need to understand every hero's power spec. So I can ask you about Nathan. What is Nathan's power spec? Do you know? Okay, for Nathan, technically Nathan is a late game hero. So he technically needs two items before he starts being painful. But for laning phase purposes, his timing is level 4 because it doubles his spell damage. So basically, when Nathan ults, he will summon a clone, and his clone will cast a spell too. So if he aims it properly, his S1 and S2 damage will be doubled. So that's his main power spec. So overall, this was okay, but now here is the main mistake. Because you did this, there's no real reason for you to be standing on top of him like this. Like you should have just maintained your distance because Nathan's auto attack, right? It hits everything in its range. So by you standing here, he's actually life stealing from both you and the Tigreal. If you maintain your distance, right, he needed to choose to lifesteal from the Tigreal or from you. But by standing right next to each other like this, you are allowing him to stack the lifesteal, which may or may not cost him to live. I'm not sure also, but it would have been close. So basically, small optimizations like this matter, but I will leave you to like learn these small optimizations yourself, because there's no way I'm like it will take too long if I had to point out every optimization. Then here, okay. Here is the next point. Lane. So lane management. Okay. So lane management, what does that mean? So okay, for heroes like Irithel, right? It's do you consider Irithel like a strong laner or a weak laner? Balanced. I would say he is more towards the strong laner. Granger. Mm, okay, Granger. Yes, he is a very strong laner because yeah, okay, fair enough. But Granger strong early game but fall off late game. I wouldn't say so. To me, Granger still has a very strong late game potential. But the thing with Granger, right? It is very difficult to play at a high level. Why? Because in order to deal damage, you need to divert your attention to aiming the S1. But the thing is, if you divert your attention to aiming the S1, you have less attention on your positioning. So a lot of players, even pro players, struggle like balancing their concentration on dealing damage and their position itself. But in terms of like TDO or total damage output, it's actually still quite high. Granger is still up there. It's not the highest, but it's I wouldn't say he falls off. The reason he falls off is because it is too difficult to play late game. That's the main reason I feel. But okay, laning wise, Granger, yes, it's strong, but Irithel himself is actually somewhat of a lane bully, mainly because of his S1, S2. You can really poke a lot of heroes down with that. And why is Irithel a lane bully? Does Irithel have any sustain? Yeah, heal. What gives him the healing? Yes, Vampire Mallet. So okay, there's two things that gives him the healing. So the first thing is your emblem, which is Quantum Charge, right? So that gives you small healing, which is not much, but it does give you healing, which adds up, correct? Because it gives you around 130 HP every 15 seconds. So in 1 minute, you can probably trigger it 3 times. Of course, you're not gonna hit once every 15 seconds. So I'll just assume it as 3 times, which is like around 400 health, which is quite a lot for a gold laner. So that is not bad. Because if you consider the remaining meta marksmen, right, there is not much marksmen that brings quantum charge right now. So this is somewhat of an advantage. So you need to take note of that. So okay, Irita has one strong poking, right, with the S1 and S2. Two is sustain. So you need to understand what kind of trades. So are you familiar with trading? So uh what do you like what do you understand by trading? Like what does it mean? Okay, basically it's using your spells to both heroes like yourself and the enemy hero using spells to lower each other's health, correct? Okay, let's say you were playing Harith and the enemy is playing an Irithel and you both traded and you're both half health. Who do you think is happier out of the engagement, the Irithel or the Harith? Harith. Yeah. So you need to understand that like sustain is a very important part of trading because sometimes heroes when they trade you need to think maybe last time you played EXP, right? So you should know the Phoveus and Khalid matchup. So Phoveus and Khalid, these two heroes, when they fight, right? This Khalid will always be lower health than the Phoveus after level 4 when they trade. They won't die, but the Khalid will be lower health than the Phoveus. So let's say the Khalid will be like 1/3 HP and this Phoveus will be 2/3. But at the end of the trade, this Khalid will usually be happier because he has S2 and he usually can clear the wave. So a similar approach for gold lane, like what we mentioned just now, Harith and Irithel. So you need to know Irithel has some form of sustain. So you need to abuse it, but at the same time you need to know this Nathan also has sustain, even though it's not that much yet early game. It only gets a lot after he finishes his 2 items, but early game he has sustain too. So in a way, this is not the most ideal of trades. It's okay here, like doing this was okay, but not maintaining your distance, right? Made you ended up too low. And technically you did not need to sprint here because they used everything already. Like at this point, right? Okay, let's see what happened. Okay, right there, Nathan used this S1. Then he inspired already. Then the Hilda used all 4 of his S2, so he has nothing already. He only has Vengeance left. So actually both you and the Tigreal made a mistake here. Okay, the Tigreal not so much, because he was actually dying to the basic attacks, but you did not need to sprint here. They had nothing to chase you with already, so there's no reason to panic sprint here. You might need it later. And this is the point I want to get to next, laning. So laning wise, right? If if you can choose, if you can choose, right? Would you rather have your minions in the red line or the the red circle or the green circle? Okay, have minions in the red, correct? Do you can you like give a short explanation why? Yeah, safer and can hide in turret. If it was in the green side, it would be very uncomfortable for you to walk up here, correct? Okay, so here is the mistake. Basically, every opportunity you get, if you are able to leave your minions outside your tower, you should take it. Of course, there are exceptions when you're trying to like push the tower, or like your teammates are planning to set up a dive. It would be smarter for you to push the minions. But in this scenario, right, hitting this minion here is a mistake. Hitting it once, okay, but you killed the entire thing because now you see your health. You are slightly below half health, so is the Tigre, correct? And now you would have to walk up into the middle of the wave. So instead of holding the minion here, right, and losing probably a bit of your health, you decided to push the minions and save that little of health and fight here, which is a big mistake in high elo games. But in this scenario, it's okay. But as like no pro player would make this mistake. Like you get uh okay. Actually, playing EXP, it's okay for you to freeze your wave before like turtle all this. Like it's okay to freeze your wave. But okay, I understand the mindset. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. But you need to see the enemy heroes too. Because you can clearly see the Kagura is mid lane, correct? And do you know what timing does a jungler come to gank? So right now, basically from here you can see, right? Like the Kagura is here, the Hilda is in your face, the Nathan to Mia, there's no he's ganking, so it's only this Alucard's missing. No, it's 120. So 120 junglers can start to gank. Very fast junglers can gank from 114. These are very fast level 3 junglers like Suyo and Julian. But usually these junglers won't even bother to gank because they will just farm first. Yeah, same. So EXP or gold doesn't matter. The jungler can choose which one to gank. It's at 120. So in this scenario, why should you freeze, right? Because this is the part where I said you are playing for teamwork too. Yeah, for marksman, the rules doesn't really apply the same. So one thing, like the problem, right? If you freeze, if you just clear it here, and the minions ended up here, correct? if the enemy were actually coming to gank you, like let's say the Alucard is already waiting here, right? And you are just stuck under tower here, there's nothing much you can do to. The wave is gonna crash, then they're gonna sandwich you from front and back. So what like putting the minion here does, right? It will at least give you a chance to clear the wave. So when the minions are here and the enemy hero is walking up here to fast clear the wave outside your tower, like here, like right here, they're walking up to fast clear the wave. You can already anticipate the dive coming. So at this point, you have to understand that you are 90% dead already if your teammate isn't coming. So just clear the wave here, clear as much as you can. If you can't, then never mind. The enemy will then probably dive you, then you are dead. This is the moment where I said, like, in solo, there's not much you can do. Sometimes these stuff happen and it's not really your fault. But how to optimize, right, is making sure you get as much gold as you can. Used to and here the main reason why I told you to freeze, right, is because the alpha is pathing bottom. Like you should always pay attention to your jungler's rotations. If your jungler is pathing bottom, right, this is the part of teamwork I mentioned earlier. By you freezing the wave here, right, when the wave comes, by the time the wave crash, the alpha should be here already. So the wave is here, the alpha is here. So all you need to do is buy him like 7 seconds and he can make it here and kill these two. And both of them already use their battle spells. Yeah. So you need to learn how to play around your teammates. Of course, again, you need to know that this is not 5 men, right? So there's a very good chance the alpha clears this. You freeze the wave here. The Nathan is very offside, but the alpha decides to go here. There's a very good chance of that happening. And if that happens, I mean, it's a there's nothing you can do already at that point. But it's just you want to maximize again what we mentioned earlier. You want to maximize your chances of winning. So you're creating opportunities for your teammates. If they don't take the opportunity, well then too bad. There's nothing much you can do because right now you're gold lane, right? You're just trying to get as much gold as you want. Yeah, it happens. But if you freeze the lane outside the enemy, outside your own tower, right, and you spam request backup, there's a good chance of your teammate coming. Like there's a good chance because they will see, wow, this Nathan is very offset. But if the lane is here and the Nathan is under tower, of course, me as the alpha too, I wouldn't try to dive him like this. It's very risky, so I'll just farm. But of course, outside your own tower, that's an instant gank. Understood? Okay. So this is like the main part of laning, right? This actually a lot of MPL or like I wouldn't say other MPL, but MPL Singapore and not other like all the MPLQ teams, right, that I knew before when I was still active. Like most of them don't understand this concept. Like it took them a while to understand this concept. So if you can understand this concept, it's actually very good. Because most people don't really understand like laning in ML. And most people that do is because they play other games. Because in other games, like laning is very punishing. Okay, here again, this is what I mentioned. So laning equilibrium. Wait, are you familiar with laning equilibrium? Okay, laning equilibrium basically means uh if let's say there's no heroes on the map, right? Then the minions crash. Which minions will die first? Like you won't know, right? Like the blue minion could win or the red minion can win. It's down to RNG. But let's say in this scenario, like right here, right? If I removed all the heroes just recall back to base. the minions would clear itself, correct? Uh, yeah, +1. I mean that it's not really laning equilibrium, but yeah, that like it was the concept you explained was derived from laning equilibrium. But okay, no, I want you to pay attention to this. You S1 and S2 the wave, correct? So in this position now, if both of you were to back in your into your own towers, where would the minion go? Towards your tower or his tower? Yeah, correct. Towards his tower. So now this actually creates a problem because when you are pushing the minions like this, whose minion will die first here? Yours, right? His, right? Like okay, the enemy started hitting the minions, but at this point, whose minions will die first? Yes, your right now, no, like right now, like his minions are lower health, right? So his should die first. Yeah. So his minion should die first. So this means who needs to walk up to get the gold first? Yes. So you have to walk up to get the gold, right? And what this Nathan should have done, so when the moment you try to walk up, he should throw his spells at you because he knows he does not have to walk up. It's essentially a Mexican standoff, but you are the first person who has to make a move. Like, does that make sense to you? So you need to walk up to get the gold. So the moment you walk up, he has the opportunity to poke you. But of course, this is like they're not highly ranked, so they probably don't understand the concept. But it's okay if the enemy doesn't understand. If anything, it's good. You can abuse this. You can use this to abuse the enemy. So you wait for them to hit the minions and wait for them to walk up to get the gold or experience. Then the moment they do, you throw your S1 and S2. There's no reason for you to be very trigger happy with your S1, S2. Like you realize your S1 and S2 is off cooldown and you decide to throw your spells because oh they're off cooldown, I don't have mana, I should use it. But not really. You should wait for the opportunity for them to walk up. The moment they walk up, you throw your spells, then it's a guaranteed hit. Because notice here, you didn't hit the Nathan. See, your S1 didn't hit the Nathan. If it hit the Nathan, he probably would be very low right now. Like, do you understand the concept of basically not don't attack minions, only last hit? Yeah, that's correct. So there are moments where you need to attack the minions because you want to do something else. For example, for marksman, right? The only two times you want to be fast clearing at three times. Okay, yeah. There are only three times where you want to fast clear. So one is double wave. Two is push. You want to push the enemy towers. Three is scared. So you're scared of a dive. For example, here, like let's take a look at the Dairoth, okay? Like let's just say this was your lane, okay? The Dairoth lane. Let's just say this was your lane. Now if this was you, you should fast clear, correct? Why? Because your enemy, your alpha is far away and he's going down. So you should try to get your gold going too. But fast clearing is not always correct because technically the opponent, right? They can you can fast clear this, and what the opponent can do is just freeze outside your tower, outside their tower, and you can't do anything about it. You have to wait for your teammates to rotate back here. So technically, as a gold lane, right, the only safe time for you to what do you call fast clear is these two. The only time you can fast clear when you are scared is if you know your team will rotate to you soon. If you do not know that, you should never fast clear. Why? Like what I mentioned earlier, if you decide to fast clear this, the enemy freezes your lane outside here. You basically can't walk up. The moment you walk up, the enemy will pounce at you and you're gonna die. No, I'm not saying this is you as an EXP lane. I'm saying like exact. Take this as gold lane. Like I wanna give an example. Like this is the gold lane and this is the EXP. Like I just wanna show you the state of the lane itself. Okay, but mainly I think like I'm just giving you. Oh, I mean it's normal to get confused. So I suggest like you just stick to one or two roles. Ideally, if for gold lane, people usually transition between gold lane and jungler because it makes it kind of goes hand in hand. Like if you want to be able to play at a professional level, I don't think any player will play more than one role, but some people can play two roles, which is good, but not everyone can do that. So if you wanna like reach a high elo, I would suggest just sticking to one role. Jungling, I would say gold lane is actually the hardest role right now at high rank because everyone is running you down and you are the main and only carry usually. So I uh okay, gold lane is not hard to get into, but it's very hard to master. But jungling is the hardest role to get into, so I agree in that part because there's jungling basically has a very specific skill set which is jungling rotations. Which if you've never played jungler before, you are gonna struggle with. Ah, okay. So I think mainly your laning is not that bad, but of course there's a lot of things you can optimize. Like for example, this one. Your roamer is recalling, your alpha is coming, right? There is no reason for you to position aggressively like this. You should be positioned at the tip of the bush, like this, correct? But you shouldn't be walking up. You should be ready to run away because you don't have sprint. Again, the reason you don't have this sprint is because of the overreaction at this moment too. By the way, do you know how to cancel auto attack as an Irithel? Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's something you should know. But mainly, okay. So that's really all I wanna say about laning because there's a lot of things I can go deep in about laning because laning is hard. It's not easy. Like what I said, laning is the most important thing for gold laners right now. Even MPL players struggle because like there's so many tricks you need to know. But that's the main understanding, trading and lane management. I think if you just want to push rank until like 200, 300 stars, right? These are the only two things you need to know. And of course, map awareness. But again, just the easiest way is 120, be careful. That's all for early game. Like, is there anything you want to ask me about laning or not? I just want to go for the next. Okay. So, wait, where did you get the kill? Okay, you should never do this. Like S1 and S2ing the minion wave like this, it's very bad. Because basically you're just using your spells in front of your enemy, right? And you are very offside right now. Basically, you're using your spells in front of the enemy and you are using it at a position which is not safe. So of course as the enemy you're just gonna abuse that fact. Like, oh, the enemy doesn't have spells, he's out of position. Of course I'm gonna try and punish him. Does that make sense to you? The only reason you did not die. Okay, two reasons. Okay. What mistakes did the Nathan make here? How could he have killed you? So what mistakes did the Nathan make here? Uh, no, he attacked you here. One, two, three, four. He attacked the minions here because you were out of range. Okay, I'll show you one more time. So he ults here. Or he doesn't need to kill you. What mistakes did he make in general? If you have no idea, it's okay. You can tell me too. Uh, ult between you. I'm not sure that's possible. Okay, but no, the main mistake is it has nothing to do with Nathan. So okay, I'll just tell you. The mistake he made, right, is he ulted too early. Because right now, if he ults, watch the enemy minions. Who are the minions hitting? Him, right? Right. He's taking unnecessary damage. He has two minions hitting him for no reason. For let's see for how long, yeah? He starts from 32. Then the minions stop attacking him at 40. So he took 8 seconds of attack from the minions. Yes, he ulted too early, correct. So all he needed to do was wait for 1 second, wait for the minions to crash first, let the minions start hitting each other, then go in. As an Irithel, this is something you should do also. Like if you're gonna jump at your enemy, wait for the minions to come first, crash, hit each other, then you can go in. Because if you go in while the enemy minions are not hitting each other yet, the minions will hit you instead. Of course, in some scenarios, this doesn't matter. Like if you're 3 and 0 already, by all means, just go tank all the minions. It doesn't matter. But in this scenario, right, you are both 0 and 1. So at this point, every single damage matters. So you need to know this. And the second mistake he makes is wait, right here. Right here, what who's again ask you the same question. Whose minion is lower health? His or yours? Uh no lah. Yeah. Eh, okay, true, but look at his like the back minions, right? They're all low health, correct? So basically what he can do here, right, is just stand in this bush. Because he can see your entire team. He sees Nana Tigre here, he sees Alpha here. So he can assume it's a 1v1. So what he can do is just stand in this bush and let the minions fight it out. At the cannon, so basically you will only be left with the cannon. Like the melee and range creep will die here, right? And you can't really walk up. Like so here, if the Nathan were standing here, right, in this bush, first of all, you would have no idea where he's standing. He could be here, he could be here, he could be here. So it will be very difficult for you to S1 and S2. So your S1 range is around this much. But the thing is his S1 range is also around that much. So you can't really risk using your S1 because you're at a way lower health than him. Like if you hit your S1, he is gonna be like this health. But if he hits his S1 and S2, you're dead. So what he can do here, right, is just stand in this bush anywhere, like here, here, here. You can decide yourself without hitting the minion. And what will happen is the wave will fight here, and these two minions will die. These two minions added up is about 110 gold. So by just doing that, right, you can freeze the minion, maintain 100 gold lead for just having a good trade. But instead, of course, what he does is just clear the wave and die. Like as an you need to know his power spikes too. Like as a marksman, you need to know enemy hero power spikes. So you made the correct decision here. The moment he has no ultimate, you should fight him. Actually, from here, this is actually a mis. Oh, that is actually a big mistake from you. Uh, Not really, but I would suggest you like understand the very basics of every marksman, or at the very least, if you don't have that much time with you, then I would just commit to the meta heroes. So how I mastered so I play EXP, right? So how I mastered every EXP is very simple. Every time an EXP comes into meta, I just spam it. So at the end of the patch, I would master 2 to 4 heroes. Not master, but I would understand these heroes. Then the next patch comes, there's new 2 to 4 heroes. Usually there will be one of these heroes that is still transferred here, but then you would learn 1 to 3 new heroes. And then the cycle goes on, and at the end you would learn all the heroes. So I don't suggest you go and learn every single hero. That's a bit too tiring. But I would suggest you definitely learn the meta marksman. Are you familiar with the current meta of marksman? Beatrix not so much. Okay, meta, I would say I would just divide it to S, A, and B tier. Okay? S tier, Harith, Granger. Is there anything else? Nope. That's about it. Then A tier is Moskov. Let me think. Yeah, I need to open the marksman tab. 1 second, I'm gonna check the marksman tab. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, Irita, sorry. This might be a swap. Then B tier is Beatrix. So okay, Harith is too difficult for you, understandable. So if I were you, I would focus on and carry is here too, sorry. Uh this the I mean the easiest hero here is Irital for sure. So it's definitely a good hero for you to start learning on. Next would be probably Carry, then Granger, Beatrix, Moskov, then Harith would be the hardest. So you can learn them in any order. You don't have to learn everything on this list, but these are the 6 heroes I would focus on in this patch. Like if I had a MPL marksman, this is the 6 heroes I would tell them to train. So as a marksman, again, it's very important for the player to play himself, because marksman is arguably the only role where you actually need to have a lot of grinding. Because you need to understand every single matchup. You need to know when your hero is stronger than the enemy, and at what item power spikes you can fight. And how to do the fighting, of course, is also very important. But okay, one thing I want to mention about the lane freezing, right? I know it might seem small because you freezing here just now we mentioned gets you about 110 gold above the enemy. Yes, gold lane I would say requires the most grind. Second role probably jungler with those intensive mechanic heroes like Fanny, Ling, all this. But besides that, it's about the same. Gold because gold lane is really the only lane where 1v1s can happen. Like even at pro scenes, you will still see gold laners solo killing each other every now and then. So it really matters. And solo kill can really dictate the game. Like let's say okay, in this scenario you did solo kill him, but you solo killed him because of his own mistake, correct? Let's say if he solo killed you here, right? Okay, let's say you're dead. Like you're not, but let's just say you died here, okay? So how much gold did it give him? Do you have any idea how much a solo kill gives? A little more than that. So basically solo kill, the kill itself, right? Kill gives you 200 gold if you don't have a streak. So let's just assume it's 200, okay? Minions. How much? This is 120. This and the other two minions is 110. So that's 230 gold. Then plating. Plating, every hero can get different amounts of plating. But I think it's safe to assume. I mean, Nathan can clear out the whole plating for sure. So that's another 300 gold. And if the gold crab is alive, that's another 100 gold. So all in all, that's 430, 730, 830 gold. Okay, gold plating and this is actually a very good question. So it sadly there's no single answer to this because at the end of the day it depends. Correct. So as do you know the difference between safe gold lane and danger and hard gold lane? Okay, so you right now you have the hard gold lane. If the gold lane was in top lane, then you would have the safe gold lane. Why is it called that way? First, this one is called the hard gold lane because the enemy, uh, no, it's not the, yes, because, uh, right, not bush position, it's the crab position. So if the crab is positioned away from you, it's called the hard one. And if the crab is positioned next to your tower, it's called the easy. Because as the easy gold lane, right? No matter how the enemy tries to secure the gold crab, there is a chance for you to steal it, correct? But if you're in the hard gold lane, if they take it, there's no way you can take this. And it's called the hard gold lane also, right? Because the enemy can sneak into here without you getting any vision. Enemies cannot sneak through here. The towers would spot. The towers will spot the enemy moving here. So this you can take note. Okay. So when you're playing the hard gold lane, the gold crab has a higher value than this in most scenarios because it is very difficult for you to secure this as a hard gold laner. The only time you can secure this, right, if you kill the guy or you send him home or you make him very low that he doesn't even dare to walk up here. So it's very hard for you to secure this. And if you don't secure this, right, the enemy will get plus 100 gold. But if you secure it, you get plus 100, right? So you need to think of it this way. Okay, if I don't secure the gold crab now, can I secure it later? If the answer is no, then it's better to secure the gold crabs. Because I give you an example. So this is you, enemy. Okay? Okay, I'll just change it to red so it's visible. So if you were to get gold plating, let's say you would get 200, okay? But if you were to get crab, you'd get 100, and maybe you will only get like 50 gold from the plating, okay? But you need to take note, if you fully devote yourself to the gold plating, there's a good chance the enemy is 100, correct? Whereas here the enemy is plus 0, right? So if we just do basic math, here you will get plus 100, but here you will only get plus, here you will actually get plus 150. So in some scenarios, it might be better for you to secure the uh gold crab first, even though it results you with getting less gold than just going for tower plating all the way, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So I think that's basically all I want to say about laning. There's a lot more I can go into, but I scared later you information overload and you end up forgetting. Because I also want to mention about team fighting. Like it's a very important part of gold lane too. Because like you imagine you play gold lane, you farm the whole way, you get 6 items, but then you don't know how to fight, so still no use, right? Ah, okay, I understand. Yeah, because that much I can tell because you weren't dying much, but then towards the end you were dying a lot. So here actually definitely tough boots would have been good because you're fighting a Kagura and a Nathan. These two they can burst you quite a lot. Okay, marksman. Okay, this is a common misconception. Marksman does not always have to, like, you don't always have to have the highest damage. Like, yeah, most games you should aim for that much, but in the scenario your team is really just steamrolling the enemy team, like, don't push yourself too hard, you know? If like your EXP is being a monster and he goes like 5-0 the first 7 minutes, it's okay if you ended up with like 15% damage. At least you secured the towers, you know, like it's okay, your team is steamrolling them. You just focus objectives. You get what I mean? But of course, in an even game, you should always aim for 20 to 30%. Uh, I wouldn't really care much about. Actually, yeah, as a gold laner, you should care about the. Okay. As an EXP or roamer, the emblem itself, right, doesn't really matter. But as a gold laner, it does matter, lah. Like to me, like I watched the game just now, right? So I don't want to review the whole thing. It's just you have too many unnecessary deaths. Like for instance, here the Tigreal pings you already, but you still try to fight him. You should never fight a hero with Inspire. That's like the basic. Do you know why you lost this fight? No, because you missed your S1. See, your S1 is here, but the hero is here. You should never S1 a bush like that because, like what I said just now, the enemy sees you throw the spell, he's just gonna go because he knows you don't have your spell anymore. Okay, how I know you missed, right? If Irithel hits his S1, there'll be a shield sign above the enemy. Let me find it for you. There. There's a shield. This is one way to know you hit the S1 for Irithel. Yeah. And okay, rule of thumb again. Did you make a mistake here? Was the order of spell correct or not? Yeah, order wrong, correct. So basically, the moment he walks up like this, you should immediately throw your S1. Yeah, always S1 first before using your other spells, okay? And again, item, yeah, don't forget. You're fighting Nathan, he's magic, so you should buy tough boots here. Itemization wise, actually, overall, it's okay, not that bad. Did the Tigreal miss his ult here? Yes, correct. Okay. So next point mainly is just don't FOMO too much. I feel this is like a problem with you. Like here, right? And it's a bit fast forwarded, so I can't really see what goes on here. But I'm assuming the Tigreal missed his ult, correct? Okay, I'll just assume the Tigreal missed because he's ulting here and the Nathan is hitting. But this might just be a replay bug. I'm not sure too. But as a gold lane, right? Never go in the tower before your tank starts tanking the tower. When you're tower diving, make sure your roam tanks. If he's not tanking for you, you shout at him. Because you shouldn't be tanking tower. You died here because you were tanking tower. I'm pretty sure you could have killed him if you weren't tanking the tower. Oh, you had no ult. Oh, here you ulted too early. Ah, okay. Yeah, that's a mistake, lor. Like here you ulted for no reason. See, you ulted without having S1 and S2. This is a problem also because you don't have your spells, right? You shouldn't ult unless he's one health already and you're trying to run him down, of course. But don't ult when your spells aren't ready like this. Okay? Then when you're trying to tower dive, make sure your roam tanks the tower first. As a goat lane, you should never be tanking the tower. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. Like you need to cut your old habits. If you really can't cut it, then you probably should go back to your old role. Because these are not habits you should have as a goat lane. Did you press these spells out of panic or? Okay, it's okay, but yeah, just chill. Yeah, ulting here is also very unnecessary because you need to know your power spikes again. Uh, you're basically trying to kill a tank without the tank killer item, which it's not gonna work, lah. Especially if the tank is full health. Like before you get your malefic gun, you shouldn't be trying this. Even after malefic gun, I'm pretty sure you can't re-kill a Hilda. Like, do you know what? Okay, what makes an Irithel powerful, right? It's very mobile, so you go after the back line. If you play Irithel, you should really avoid hitting front line. You do very minimum damage to front line. Yeah, like here you should have pressed your recall there so you don't take. Irithel definitely he kills creeps well. He has ult to do it. if he really has to, but I mean he has two AoE spells, so I wouldn't say he clears poorly. If anything, Granger is probably the hero with the worst clear right now. Irita is quite okay. Yeah, I think you died a few times towards the end, right? Okay, here another problem, right? Your itemization, there's a small problem here. Okay, so you have Wind of Nature to protect you against two. Yes. So protecting you for the Alucard and the Mia, correct? How about your boots? It protects you from the Alucard and the Mia too, correct? But you have nothing to protect yourself from the Nathan and the Kagura. Like, does that make sense? You're basically stacking two defenses for one aspect, but you have nothing against the other one. Yes, but Rose Gold Meteor is also fine here. Yeah. So I would go Rose Gold here before Wind of Nature simply because I already have Warrior Boots for the two of them, and Rose Gold Meteor also helps against both of them, so it's okay. It gives defense. Okay. Uh, Let me show you something. This is something I came up with last time. This was something I showed to MLBB varsity. So okay, this is the amount of defense you have, and this is the percentage of damage taken. Okay, so if you have 30 defense, right, you are gonna wait. This doesn't add up. Ah, okay. So basically, this assumes the enemy has a fixed penetration of 30, which is very common in heroes. Like heroes like Nathan, they usually they bring assassin emblem, which gives around 18. Then they will buy one penetration item, which lands them around here, 30. Mages like Kagura as well. Alucard probably with the Hunter Strike and War Axe. So like you see this graph, right? Like you notice how defense stacks diminishingly through this graph, correct? Are you there? Or yeah, okay. So defense stacks diminishingly, correct? But at the start, it is very high value, right? Yes. So just by having 20 defense, right, you can reduce the damage taken by 15%. And another 20 defense would only give you 10%. Something like that. Like here's the numbers itself, if you want to take a look carefully. But basically, as a marksman, right, starting out, you're here. When you are level 15, it'll be somewhere here. With Rose Gold Meteor, you can land it here. So just with Rose Gold Meteor, right, you can reduce the defense and the damage taken by 20% just from one item. So it definitely is a lot of value. And for Warrior Boots, right, from 30 it can reach to 70. And early game, this is definitely a lot of damage. So definitely choose your defense items correctly. I'm not saying that you must build the Rose Gold, but uh some people like very good players, right? They like to build glass cannon, which is okay if you're snowballing. But if you're not snowballing or you're not that rich and you are not that experienced yet with marksman, I do not recommend a glass cannon build because it requires deep understanding to execute the build. Just like the name says, glass cannon, you will die instantly or the enemy will die instantly. So as a newer marksman player, I would suggest you go for the standard build first. Wind of Nature, Rose Gold Meteor, all this. And I don't really recommend buying Great Dragon Spear third item too. Because usually at this point, people go for the Malefic Gun. And since you need two defense items here, right, you can't really greed for the Great Dragon Spear yet. You can use it to replace your boots eventually, but you shouldn't really greed for Great Dragon Spear in this kind of game. Okay, for the team fight, can I review the other game? Because I feel the team fight in this game was more prominent. Skypiercer is not a must with Granger. Okay, by the way, in this game you should definitely bring Purify. Wait, okay. Why I say you should bring Purify? Because these heroes, right? This one can leash you, which you can purify. This one can petrify you, which you can purify. This one usually brings petrify, but it's a jungler, so never mind. This guy, you can purify the hook, correct? If you want to bring sprint here, I'm okay with that. But you need to play very carefully. Like you need to be aggressive at the right times. But the problem here was you died 5 times, which is way too many for a gold laner. For a gold laner, you definitely dying more than 3 times is definitely very bad. Already. As a gold lane, like dying twice the is like the limit usually. Yeah, I'm just gonna show you the Lord fight. Okay, technically here, right? You should always be positioned closer to the enemy. Because when the fight is happening at Lord fights, you should be protecting your jungler. Like the priority of lives. Like usually is MM, jungler, mage, EXP, then roam, correct? So this is the normal, what do you call? Life priority, right? Like as a jungler, you would sacrifice yourself to save the marksman, mage would sacrifice himself to save the jungler, EXP would sacrifice himself to save anyone except his roamer. And yeah, basically like this. But in Lord fights, right? It's usually the other way around. Jungler would go here and marksman will go here because the retribution is very important. So during lords like this, usually you shouldn't hide behind the jungler like this. So you should position yourself like somewhere here. So I would suggest you position somewhere here because your teammate is already positioned here and here, correct? Like in this bush. So in the event that a fight breaks out, the Cho kicks someone here, you can instantly connect to the fight. Just right now, if the Cho kicks someone here, right, it will take you like 3 seconds to get there. And those 3 seconds can matter. Does that make sense? Okay. Basically, position yourself where the fight will be. Like here, they caught someone, right? If you were there, I think you can run them all down. The Gushen was low already. You can definitely run him down. Like here. You can probably sprint them down, then can clean up everyone there. Okay, after you get the Lord also. This one, was it your teammate that asked you to clear the mid lane? Oh. Okay, this is called Lord Syncing, okay? Basically, you wanna sync all 3 waves, correct? Are you aware of trying to sync all 3 waves? Okay. So usually, rule of thumb is don't touch the mid lane. So touching mid lane is a no-no. So this in itself is already wrong, but okay, how do you sync the wave here? Clear side lane. So which one? This one or this one? Or both? Yeah, top, right. Do you want to clear bottom or no? Yeah, actually bottom you don't need to touch at all. So okay, in a pro setting, right, how you should position is Irrital here, Cho here. Wait, no. Here. Cho here. Kagura and Selena here. Lucas here. This is how a pro team should set up. Like this is the ideal situation. Because the ideal situation, you want the Irrital to push down here, but at the same time, you want to make sure they can't commit the Lord at bottom here, because there's a very good chance they will just commit here if you show the Irrital here. So why is the Cho here? To protect the Irrital. These two, the Kagura and Selena here is just to react to where they go. This Kagura and Selena just reacts basically. If they try to clear the mid, slow them down. If they try to fight the Lord, you react bottom. If they try to gank the Irrital, you go top. Basically like that. That's how a pro would set up. But okay, this one, even if you 5-man setup, right? There's a very high chance you don't get the ideal setup. So okay, what do you do as a gold lane? Definitely go top here. See, your Cho is already opening the map for you. So mid is definitely wrong here. Go top. Go this way. Make sure you don't go this way, okay? This is very dangerous here. Here is dangerous. So take the long way and go up here. Clear. Follow your Cho basically. If the Cho starts walking here, you can't push anymore. This is dangerous. This this will be dangerous. So don't go here if your Cho goes mid. Because this is now a dangerous spot. So as a gold lane, you need to be able to identify this. But the goal of this lord, how ahead are y'all? I cannot see the gold. Okay, but if the main idea, this lord, right? If you are greater than or equal to 5,000 gold, you should try to take down one inhib. If it's less than or equal to 5,000, it's just outer towers. And if the gold is equal as much towers as you can. That is the goal for the first lord usually. So in this scenario, the goal, I think you're 5,000 ahead, but I'm not sure also. But the goal should be to clear this tower here all the way, then connect. After this tower goes down, start moving here and see these 2 towers. Which one is easier? Take the easier one, for example, is this one. Then This one you wait for the next wave to come. Then the Lord should still be here. Then take this tower down. Once this tower goes down as the gold lane, you go to the Lord and connect fight here. That is the main idea. But in the unideal scenario, you just take this, then you go to Lord already. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm just gonna show you the outcome of the Lord. Okay, so by the end of the Lord, y'all got this tower, and that's it. Yeah. I mean, at the end, I think this mid will go down. This one might go down, but you get the point, right? Like, it's unnecessarily spread out. You should be focusing task one at a time. This one, then this one, or this one. Then afterwards, you go here. So 1, 2, and 3. Because right now, y'all are just straight one here and don't care about the rest. Okay, let's see how you take the tower. Okay, your first of all, your finger should not be holding your S1 like this. Because how you start the fight as the Irithel, you're supposed to ult in first, correct? Not S1 first. It's to ult inside, then S1, S2. So don't hold your S1 like this. Like imagine if you held your finger on your ulti. So like here as he goes in, you ult in with him, then you just hit the Franco. So you see the Franco is this low, right? He'll probably die in one hit. Then you can just take the tower and your Lucas should be alive. Here you can press your regen. It can save your life. Oh yeah, it's fine. I think he's inactive already, right? Oh, okay. So basically here, you're low already and there's no objective for you to take, so there's no reason for you to go back in here. Like the tower is gone already, right? So the only reason you would go here is if you're trying to end the game. Let's be real, you are one down, you're not ending the game now. Especially the person that died in your team is the richest person in your team, correct? So there's no way you're ending the game here. So just go mid, take the mid tower, go top, take the top tower. There's no reason for you. And you're low also. So there's no reason for you to go in like this. It's unnecessary. Yeah, then this one, the Rose Gold Meteor again is a good item here because they have Gusion. I would change your build. So first two items, Husk Claws, Berserkers, okay. Then the third item, I would put Malefic Gun first. It's generally a better item, especially if you're bringing Sprint, right? Great Dragon Spear isn't really that good of an item. Great Dragon Spear is really good if you are bringing Purify because it allows you to have that sprint effect. Just gonna fast forward to the Lord fight again. Again here, position closer. So the enemy is coming from this way, right? And your Cho is already positioned here. So be ready to back him up. So stand somewhere here, stand here. This is too far. If the Cho kicks someone this way, then it's here, right? Like somewhere here. It'll take you a few seconds to get there. So I would position somewhere here so you can connect instantly. Okay, again, I feel the main reason you are struggling in team fights, right, is because you're just holding your S1 like this. As Irithel, you should be holding your ult, not your S1. Like you are limiting your mobility just because of this. Like here, right, you saw the Kadita ult already. And you saw him use his S1. He does not have any more spells, so the instinct should be to run him down right now. Like, use your ult, then sprint forward, you can kill these two. But because you holding your S1 mindlessly, right? And you're like, okay, I must hit my S1. And as a result, you take so many unnecessary damage. Like, how did that Franco hook not hit? Oh, okay. But regardless, not really. Even at laning phase, you can S3, then S1 and S2. The S3 timing itself doesn't really matter. Like if the enemy is in front of you, right? Of course, use the S1 first. But if the enemy is far away, then you ult to get in range of the S1, then you S1. Like just treat your ulti as a dash, and basically you just need to hit S1, then S2, then attack. That's the main idea. The ulti when you can use it whenever. Yeah, this is too stubborn and you end up take too much damage and it just dies instantly. Because you don't have any defense items for Gushan anyways. So that's the main reason you got deleted. But again, as a marksman, you shouldn't be alive because of your itemization. You should be alive because of your positioning. Your itemization only helps you deal the damage. So I wouldn't say you died because of your itemization here, but you get the point. And this is a bad fight to begin with. Like this one I can tell ah okay, I understand. But this one here you can see after you get Lord, right, you're not supposed to fight. You're supposed to go back. And you can see the the ex MPL player instantly goes back to farm and the other four players instantly goes into fight. Like you're supposed to set up waves for the Lord. You're not supposed to fight here. Like you have an advantage coming, you have a Lord coming to help you push. Why fight now? Especially after you just burnt your resources for the Lord. So it doesn't really make sense. But at the end of the day, this is a good fight. Because the Selena landed a good start into the Kagura ult. But in general, no one should fight after taking the Lord. Lah. Go set up for the Lord. It's like I'm giving you a weapon to end the game, but you decide to try to end the game before I give you the weapon. Like the weapon is the Lord and it's coming down, but you decide to fight without the Lord, which is not ideal to say the least. There are scenarios where you would want to fight outside the base. And these are the scenarios where you are fighting heroes that have really disgusting base defense. For example, is a late game Sicilian or Xavier. These two heroes have a very disgusting base defense, right? So it's very difficult to fight inside the base because they'll just hide here and they'll clear the lot. So in this scenario, then it might be okay to fight outside the base because you use the Lord to bait them outside of the base, and once they go out, you ambush them. Even after turtle, the general consensus should be to farm. But if it's possible to invade, then go for it. But general consensus should be farming. But yeah, in general, after you kill turtle, right? Because the turtle buff makes you instantly stronger, but the Lord buff makes you stronger when the Lord spawns, right? So you wait for the Lord, but the turtle it instantly gives you the buff, so you can fight with that. Does that make sense to you? Okay, for jungler, right? They don't invade because they got the turtle. They invade because they have an opportunity. What that opportunity could be, I have no idea. It could be because I got turtle, I am one level higher than the enemy, so I want to invade. It could be because you saw them burn Retri on the other buff. It could also be just because you're stronger than the enemy, so you want to invade. Don't forget that you take 20% more damage in the enemy jungle in the first 3 minutes of the game. So you don't want to invade unless you have a solid plan going in.
Ult is ready.
Yeah, and I would pay attention to Franco's scope.
Ult is ready.
Like this, you should try to sidestep. You're lucky he mistimed that.
You have slain an enemy. Attack! Launch attack!
Again, I wouldn't use. This is especially during late game, right? I wouldn't use my S1 and S2 freely like this. Just you S1, S2, then you ult in. Like it's a bit too late. And I would wait to use these spells like for good timing to use these spells. I wouldn't just anyhow use the spells when the enemy walk up.
You have slain an enemy. Attack! Launch attack!
Yeah, I wouldn't stand this close to a strength.
Launch
It's very
attack!
dangerous. Okay, I think uh to wrap it up for you, right? So number one, meta heroes, the ones I mentioned just now. Granger, Iritel, Moskov, uh Beatrix. You can probably focus on those four since you don't want to learn Harith yet. And number two is laning. Minion equilibrium. Make sure you don't hit the minions for no reason. Just last hit. Don't fast clear every time. Freeze if possible. Trade with your spells properly. Understand power spikes, everything like that. Then I think practice is the most important for you. Like you need, like after you, like let's say just now you fought against a Nathan and you're not really familiar with Nathan, right? I would just go into a classic game, play one Nathan game, read his spells, then I play it. Just to understand the hero. Because you don't have to master every hero, but at least know what each hero does. Then lastly, team fight. For team fight, I think laning also pay attention to ganks. Team fight, the things you should pay attention is loose con and itemization. Lastly is tunneling. So what is loose con? So loose con is loose condition essentially. So what can kill you? So in this game, everything can kill you. The Kagura can kill you, the Hilda can kill you, the Nathan can kill you, the Mia can kill you, Alucard can kill you. So you need to know what spells each hero has that can kill you. For example, Kagura, it's an ult. Hilda doesn't really have a specific spell that can kill you, but if she just runs at you with vengeance, you can die. Nathan, Mia are their ultis, and Alucard is just make sure he doesn't get on top of your face. So those are the things you pay attention to. I think a better example is this game. It's like Kadita Petrify, the Gusion ulti, and that's about it. CC doesn't really do anything to you. So know this. Second is itemization. So itemization is the rose gold slash wind of nature or boots. And lastly is tunnel visioning. So tunnel visioning is what you were doing here essentially, is holding your S1 for very long and not focusing on anything else.
Ult is ready.
Like you were holding S1 that you didn't realize the Franco tried to hook you. And I would suggest make this Wheel of Nature button bigger and away from your items so you don't misclick in a fast-paced scenario. I would put it away from, like, notice how your items are bigger than Wind of Nature. That shouldn't be the case lah. Because Wind of Nature, you need to press Wind of Nature more urgently than your items. So I would put it bigger and slightly away from your items. Up to you. You can put it anywhere you're comfortable with. But yeah, I think overall that's all I have for you. Is there anything you wanna like clarify or ask? Okay, if that's all, then yeah, thanks for coming. Okay, sure. Okay, see you around then. Bye.